We had the privilege of hearing how James became a Christian, but I thought it'd just be so useful, so helpful. So if it's okay, James, I'm going to drop you right in at the deep end. But just to say, we'd love to hear tonight your story about how you came to Christ. So thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you actually hear me? Okay, yeah. Basically, before I came to know Christ, I wasn't brought up in a Christian family. I was brought up in a moral family, which I'll touch on in a little bit. But I wasn't brought up in a Christian family. I myself classed myself as an atheist, specifically a Darwinian, evolutionist, atheistic, down to the core. I didn't believe in any such thing as a deity. I didn't believe in any such thing as a God. Material, what you could see, what you could touch, that's all there was. Or at least that's what I thought. I held this view for really as far back as I could actually remember. Especially as I kept getting deep into science, I realized that my view continued to get stronger and stronger and stronger. There's actually one occasion I can remember that when I was in my RE class, everybody was told to draw the 6 days of creation. I remember in a little act of rebellion, I decided to draw the Big Bang and the order of everything that I thought. But it wasn't until college that my best friend got saved 1 month before me. And he kept telling me that he'd met this guy. He didn't tell me that he was a Christian because he knew my view. He also knew that I would argue back with Christians often. I loved a good debate. I loved debating Christians and trying to absolutely rip them down. It wasn't just Christians, it was virtually anyone who believed in a deity or anyone who believed in a God. But one day, my friend came up to me and he asked if I was doing anything that day. I was saying, no, I'm free that night. So he said, well, why don't you come over and meet this guy who, because I've been telling him so much about you and he really wants to meet you. So I was like, yeah, okay. He didn't tell me he was a Christian, or if he did, he kind of whispered it, just kind of kept that undercover. So I ended up going that night, and this guy was absolutely lovely. Like, he was absolutely a great guy. But I remember we went into the living room, and I can't remember how exactly it happened, but he started telling me all about Jesus, all about what Christ did for us on the cross, how we were sinners. And this time I didn't argue back, which absolutely baffled me. I just sat there for 2 hours just taking this in as he just ran through the entire gospel. I remember halfway through I tried to buff up a bit and say, well, what about evolution? And then he just looked at me and went, you know that's not true. And then I remember going, yeah, that's true. So I just completely shot down my worldview in like a few seconds. But I remember towards the end of that conversation, my mum got in touch with me and came to pick me up from the house. And when I got into the car, I was just absolutely silent because I felt peace. I felt this peace that I just could not explain at all. And I didn't know what was happening. I remember my mum was asking me, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm just thinking. But when we got back to the house, I went straight upstairs. I saw my brother and one of my good friends sitting on the bed. And my good friend looked at me and said, without me saying a single word, he said, what's happened to you? Change back. I remember looking at him and saying, I think I'm a Christian. Because I had no idea what a Christian truly was. No clue. I remember that was the first time I went then into my room. I started praying for the first time ever. Now, it wasn't even, not that long ago, I learned that, that my friend had actually, my best friend had actually told this other guy when I went in, don't preach the gospel to him. He's an atheist. Don't talk about it. And I'm so glad he ignored that. I'm so glad he ignored that. Because thanks to him telling me Christ, the light went on. Because I'd heard the gospel before, you know, when I debated people, I heard people on the street, people coming to the house, etc. So I'd heard it, but it never made sense. I'd always fought back, argued back, instantly responded to what was being said. But that was the first time that it made sense. All of it made sense. Even though I hadn't read the Bible, had never even picked up a Bible, it made sense. And yeah, and also apparently, I can't remember this neither, but apparently the day after I got converted, I non-stop, because I used to walk to college with my friend every day. When we were walking there, apparently I non-stop talked about Jesus. Non-stop, straight off the bat. To the point they phoned the other guy and, and said, I think he's saved. I don't know how to explain it, but I think he's saved. And both of them just couldn't understand it whatsoever. But yeah, that's how I came to know Christ.
Well, thank you ever so much, James. Thank you.